Hello everyone, and welcome to Shell Point Today for Thursday, May 12th. I'm Dan Philgreen. On today's show, we'll get a preview of Robert Macomber's Academy class, Yachts That Went to War. And Ingrid Oliver will talk about Zumba fitness. Also, we'll see a FineMark minute about the differences between the way debit cards and credit cards work. But first, don't forget that tomorrow is the time for everybody's favorite outing to Delnor Wiggins Pass State Park. Why? Because it's beach day. So sign up to get out and enjoy the sun, the shade, the surf, and the sand. The cost is $16 for the trip, and it includes a picnic lunch, and there will be a stop for ice cream on the way home, and that'll be on your own. Court pickups begin on the island at 8:30 a.m. Looking ahead to this weekend, you'll have two opportunities to enjoy a great film in the Grand Cypress Room on Saturday. 2 and 7 p.m. will be the times for the showing of Concussion. It's a 2015 film starring Will Smith. This dramatic thriller is based on the incredible true story of the doctor who first discovered a football-related brain trauma in a professional player. Fighting for the truth to be heard, the doctor, played by Smith, was placed at dangerous odds with one of the most powerful institutions in the world, the NFL. Come enjoy this captivating movie on Saturday. Award-winning author Robert Macomber is back for another Academy class next Tuesday. Yachts That Went to War is an incredible story of yachts that became warships in the U.S. Navy during the Spanish-American War. Robert visits with Terry Colath now to tell us what to expect in his class.
Hello, I'm Terry Colath. I'm here today with award-winning author Robert Macomber. We're talking about his third and final for this semester presentation in the Academy of Lifelong Learning. This one, Yachts That Went to War. Hello, Robert.
Hi.
That's pretty intriguing. Yachts and war in the same.
It just doesn't seem to go together.
It doesn't. How did this happen?
Well, in the Spanish-American War, the Navy needed a lot more warships than it had. And so they put on a crash program to buy some merchant ships, but also buy yachts. Now, these were not the kind of runabout motorboat kind of thing or small sailboat. These were some of the most opulent and luxurious yachts in the world. And they were owned by the barons and tycoons of Wall Street and other very, very rich people in our country. And they were sold to the United States government at a fraction of their actual value. And they were converted into warships. And they served, there were 38 of them. 13 of them were actually very large ships that were yachts. And all 13 stayed in the Navy for 20 years, served in several wars, and one of them had a life of 59 years, served in 3 wars for our country, made history on board for our country, and at the end of her life, she became part of one of the most famous events in world history, 59 years after she was launched.
Fascinating.
It is a fascinating story. It's a very popular story. It's great fun for me to show the photos of these yachts, both in yacht condition and in wartime condition, and you'll be amazed at the history that was made by these warships that started out as yachts.
So we're actually going to see them as yachts and then see them refitted.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
And it also seems kind of curious to me. I mean, it's interesting that people would just say, here's my yacht at a fraction of the price. Did you find out anything about that, the motivations?
Very good question. Yes, one of the motivations was the tax write-off. Yeah, then and now. Yeah. And then the other motivation was a tremendous surge of patriotism in 1898 at the beginning of the Spanish-American War. At the beginning of World War I, they had the same thing happen. More yachts were donated, and in the beginning of World War II, in 1940 and in 1941 and early 42, the same thing happened again. Amazing. And all of those yachts served very vital, missions for the Navy. Yeah.
This is going to be fabulous. And again, we're always grateful to have you come and share with us.
It's a delight to be here.
Please make every effort to join us for Yachts That Went to War. All the information is in your Academy of Lifelong Learning brochure, and we'll be happy to see you. Yachts That Went to War.
Fitness instructor Ingrid Oliver wants to show you a fun and exciting way to get in shape. She'll get you moving, your blood pumping, and your oxygen flowing to your brain, all while having fun doing it. It's the Zumba fitness class here at Shell Point. Here's Ingrid to tell you about the 6-week session class, as well as the new secondary sessions where you'll learn dances from all around the world.
Hi everybody, I'm Coach Iggy. I'm a certified Zumba instructor and I'm here to tell you all about Zumba Fitness. The new sessions are coming up. They are 6-week sessions for $55 each. The classes are Monday, 12:45 to 1:30. We also now have a new secondary session Fridays, also at the exact same time. You also get the bonus of being able to take both classes for $95 as a discount if you put them together. All sessions are 6 weeks at a time, and I would love for you to come. There's wonderful music that are Latin-based and world-based, so you can learn dances from all around the world. All you have to do is bring a smile and lots of energy, and we'll work out without even noticing we're working out. I hope to see you there.
Most of us understand the difference between a credit card and a debit bank card. But do we understand how merchants process a sale when you use one? Many debit cards give you the option of either debit or credit processing. To explain more about what that means and which method is right for you, here's Anna Smith with a FineMark Minute.
Hello, I'm Anna Smith, Managing Executive with FineMark Bank on the island. In today's FineMark Minute, we are talking about debit card and the difference between using your PIN or using debit as credit and signing for your purchase. It's a question we've all heard when shopping credit or debit. It seems straightforward, but debit and credit transactions are processed differently. Here is how MasterCard explains it. When you use a debit card and your PIN number, the transaction is completed in real time, also known as an online transaction. You authorize the purchase with your PIN, and the money is immediately transferred from your bank account to the merchant. When you use a debit card as credit, it's considered an offline transaction. The funds for the offline transaction are deducted after the merchant settles the purchase with the credit card processor and can take 2 to 3 days to be reflected in your account balance instead of immediately. However, choosing a debit card as credit doesn't really impact you or add more protection against identity theft because the money still comes out of your checking account. At FineMark Bank, we suggest people use actual credit cards over debit cards, whether you're using a PIN or a signature. With a credit card, you are protected from identity theft. Your purchases can be protected from defects and failures, and disputes are handled before you have to pay for the disputed item. If you have any questions about what card you should use, feel free to stop by our office on the island or give us a call at 461-5999. With today's FineMark Minute, I'm Anna Smith.
And now it's time to take a look at today's happenings, Academy news, menus, and Village Church connections.
Hello, welcome to the Happening segment of Shell Point TV. I'm Bev Chandley.
And I'm Caitlin Van Scoy.
And we're going to go over the activities offered for you here today at Shell Point. We're going to start with the 7:15 class, Bend, Breathe, and Balance. That's in the Tarpon room on the island. And the Men's Golf Association will be down at the golf course at 8 o'clock. Also at 8 o'clock, we have the round robin doubles tennis at the Woodlands Tennis Courts. Shuffleboard will be played behind the Resident Activity Center on the play courts at 9:15. And at 9:30, current events group will be gathering in the game room of the Woodlands. The ladies will hit the courts and have ladies match play tennis at the Woodlands at 9:30. Also at 9:30, the paddlers will be gathering at the Kayak storage facility for their weekly outing. At 10:45, we have the Suzy Q going to Fathoms and the Locks. Sign up is required. Here's Caitlin for the afternoon activities.
Well, thanks, Bev. We start with Mah-Jongg at 12:45 in the Library Lounge.
And we moved to 1 for a Health Connections class entitled Bladder Cancer Advocacy Network. That's in the Cove in the estuary. You do need to sign up for that. Samba, the card game, will be in the Resident Activity Center at 1:15. And we moved to 1:45 for Finding Joy in the Manatee Room. Also at 1:45, Fun and Fitness will be held in the Community Room of King's Crown. The Stamp Ministry will be down in the Stamp Room at 2 o'clock. And another Health Connections class for today, 2:45, is Osteo Break Free in the Tarpon Room. Our Seamstress will be here for her weekly service at 4 o'clock in the Osprey Room. And we move to 4:30 for Alcoholics Anonymous. They'll be in the Sabal Room at the Woodlands. Pinochle will be played in the Library Lounge at 6:30. And our Thursday concludes at 7 o'clock with Trailblazers Bible Study in the Game Room of the Woodlands. Well, we're so happy to see you here today. We'll see you right back here tomorrow.
Hello, I'm Terry Kolath with your Academy information for Thursday. At 9:30, coloring for adults will begin in the Sabal Room of the Woodlands for those who have signed up. And tomorrow it's time for that iPad, iPhone, Mac free walk-in clinic with Penny Modridge of Nautilus and a crew of knowledgeable and generous resident technology volunteers. Take your question to them.
Menus for Thursday. In the Crystal Room, the Crystal Platter is chicken souvlaki with rice pilaf and grilled vegetables. The dinner special is the Crystal Carving Board for $15.95. The soup of the day is broccoli cheddar bacon. In the Island Cafe, the daily sandwich special is a hot corned beef sandwich on a Kaiser roll with potato salad for $7.75. Dinner specials in the Palm Grill are ribeye steak a la pizziola for $20.95 or baked flounder au gratin for $17.95. All menus are available 24 hours a day at www.shellpoint.net.
Hi, welcome to Village Church Connections. I'm Andy Hawkins, the senior pastor of the Village Church, and I'm here with Janet Howard. And Janet is one of our wonderful, not only parishioners, but she was a staff member at the Village Church and worked here, but even before that was an international worker with the Christian and Missionary Alliance, which was the denomination with which the Village Church is associated. And Janet, as we have often mentioned, the middle name of the Christian and Missionary Alliance is?
Missionary.
That's exactly right. And so that's because we've always had, in the history of our denomination, a concern for the world, haven't we?
Absolutely. And it's still on my heart, and I know it's on yours too.
Absolutely. And it's on our heart because it was on Jesus' heart, wasn't it?
It was.
And he expressed that. Tell us what the most clear expression of that was in the Scriptures.
Well, you know, we talk about the Great Commission. Jesus had last words for his disciples. He was going to heaven. He'd been alone with them. And now if he's gone, what's going to happen to this great news? Is it just going to die? No, he says, you're all invited to be participating. Shed this news all over the world. Of course, those disciples didn't get as far as I did in Indonesia, but that's our task. Everyone following Jesus' disciples, as we are involved in telling the good news.
That's right. And so that passage at the end of Jesus' earthly ministry, after he was raised from the dead, he tells the disciples to go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, and then he promises his presence. And we call that the
Great Commission.
The Great Commission, exactly.
It could be the Great Commandment, but I like the Great Commission.
That's exactly right. So that's the way we tend to think of it, and certainly it's like you just mentioned. The last words of someone, especially Jesus, ought to be taken very seriously. And we do take that seriously. And as a result, we look at our church and the organization that we're associated with, and I think many other evangelical organizations look at it the same way. This Great Commission is really what propels us forward to do the things that we do.
And we're not the only ones doing it. Many other churches and groups are doing it. But we have a little part. And we're involved in it because, I guess, because we take it personally.
That's right. And so the international program, essentially, or the missions program of our denomination, the Christian and Missionary Alliance, is funded by what we call the Great Commission Fund, because it's associated with the task that Jesus gave to the church in general. And so let's talk a little bit about the uniqueness of the kinds of missions programs that our denomination has engaged in literally for more than a century. What's been some of the unique characteristics that you think of as being one of the international workers that has been all over the world that characterizes the Christian and Missionary Alliance approach?
You know what I like about the approach is that, first of all, we're going to make disciples. And so we're going into countries where people really don't have the knowledge of Jesus and share that love. And then as people accept Christ and his love for them and get on board with his plan, then they are encouraged to get involved with other people and also to disciple them. And then pretty soon a church grows in that area. But it's not the end, that little church in that area. But then they're encouraged to grow those churches. And then, and I saw this happen in Indonesia, then that church says, but there are other areas outside of our country that haven't heard. So let's send people to more countries. And so I think that's the most beautiful thing about the Alliance way of doing missions is not just to scatter, the scattergun approach, but get a church involved and then more churches, local churches, and then those churches send out people to new areas. And it was so exciting to see that happen in Indonesia.
Absolutely. And so many other parts of the world as well.
Yes.
It's exciting to see that, I think that we didn't want to be the kind of organization that would just go here and there without planning and preparation. We wanted to make sure that we could go someplace where we could establish an indigenous church, a church of people that would be discipled and trained who are native to that particular culture, but then who also would multiply themselves. And that has been marvelously successful because there are churches associated with Christian Missionary Alliance in more than 80 countries, and then and we have international workers in more than 60 now, which means there are also churches in countries that we don't have missionaries there any longer.
I know,
they're
which
just
is exciting.
fully prospering churches in their own.
And they're growing quickly.
They're growing quickly, and they're sending out international workers.
Which is really, really great.
That's been one of the great things about our understanding of the Christian and Missionary Alliance. Now, the other thing that I think is unique about it is that that particular missions program is supported by what we call, as we mentioned, the Great Commission Fund, which is a little bit different than the way some other organizations might do it. When you were an international worker, you didn't have to raise your own support. You certainly went and communicated the program of the denomination on all the international work, and money then went into the Great Commission Fund and supported you and your husband as well as other international workers, really all over the globe. And I think that's a wonderful way of doing it as we participate in that kind of work.
You know what I like about it is that so oftentimes when people want to be sent out, they don't have the core base to send them. And then, forgive me, but they kind of have to sell themselves.
Right.
And that makes people uncomfortable. Maybe they were not gifted as public speakers, but they were gifted in ministry.
Right.
But the way it works in the Christian Missionary Alliance is that the church says, yes, we want you, and now we will send you. But the neat thing is that churches from all over the United States are sending me.
That's right.
And so they know my name. They're praying for me. So it's not just like 4 churches that know me. It's like tens of churches, and they've all invested money for me and many others.
That's right.
And so it's a joyful.
Yeah, you have all that support from the home base, and it also frees you to do the real ministry that our international workers do without having to be sort of semi-professional fundraisers, which a lot of people end up doing. It is difficult. Now, in our approach here at the Village Church, we have a Global Impact Week, which is our sort of missions conference, which we have in a week in January. We have certainly special speakers who come in, and we share various dimensions of the program of the international work of the Christian Missionary Alliance, and that's always a wonderful way of really establishing the culture of missions with our own fellowship and in this community. But it's also valuable for us about halfway through the year of having what we call Great Commission Sunday to remind people to continue to give and perhaps even have a special over and above opportunity for giving to the Great Commission Fund because we want to make sure that our international workers are fully supported. And so that's what's coming up, isn't it?
And I like that because, sometimes you think, well, I did it in January. But then we need to be reminded. I don't know about you, but I need reminders.
Yeah.
And Great Commission Sunday, and when is it going to be? This month?
Well, we're going to talk about it this coming Sunday.
Good.
And material will be in our worship guides this coming Sunday. And we'll talk a little bit about some of the things that we've just discussed a little bit as well. And then we'll receive an offering beginning the following week on May 22nd. And then that's what we're calling Great Commission Sunday. And of course, if people don't get it in right then, we'll certainly have opportunity to receive it anytime. But that's sort of the time frame for it.
Good.
And I think it's a great shot in the arm for our Great Commission Fund, especially in the summer when a lot of times churches and people have distractions, other interests, to be reminded, as you said, about the work that is being done and how we can contribute to that.
And not only that, it's in the summer that the international workers go overseas. It's mostly in the summer that they're transitioning.
That's right.
So that's when the costs are the highest, but that's when people are having a great time and forgetting the rest of the world.
That's right.
I like this.
That's right.
This is great.
So we do that each summer, and we're doing it once again just coming up. We'll talk about it this coming Sunday, receive an offering the next week, and we certainly trust that people who have been very generous here at the Village Church will continue to support our international work.
And we are grateful. Truly.
Indeed we are. Well, listen, thank you for joining us on Village Church Connections, and we hope you engage very well with our international work as we see the gospel of the Lord Jesus Christ not only unfolding here in our local community, but in fact our participation all across the globe is a significant part of who we are in the Village Church. God bless you, and we hope to see you soon.
Thanks for joining us for the program today. Return tomorrow when Professor Adrian Kerr will talk about the third session of English History and Culture. And we'll recap the top stories from this week. Until then, I'm Dan Philgreen for Shell Point Today for Thursday, May 12th. On behalf of everyone here at SPTV, we hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll see you again tomorrow.